Part 1. You are wonderful, Chloe, Mrs. Graham said, answering her door. I don't know what I'd do without you. Thanks for doing this on such short notice. It's no big deal, Mrs. Graham, said Chloe. I never mind watching Charlie, but just keep in mind I'll be dragging him all over this weekend. I know your schedule is crazy and I feel bad dumping him on you, but I've got little choice. These last-minute business trips are ridiculous, but I really need this job, said Mrs. Graham, getting a little emotional. I'm sorry. It's not easy being a single parent, and he's 10. It's a tough time for us. Please, Mrs. Graham. Chloe hugged her. It's not a problem. I'll juggle everything and you just go take care of business. Don't worry, we'll be fine. Chloe, it's a lot. I hate to ask, and don't you have a shoot this weekend? Said Mrs. Graham. I know I'm asking too much, but I've got nowhere else to turn. It's a quickie and he can just sit there on his iPad playing games while I do it, said Chloe. He didn't seem to mind much last time I had him sit there. He seemed oblivious, honestly, and he's such a cutie they wanted to use him in the background of a few shots. Sure, do it. He'd probably hate it, but I think it would be fun to see him dressed up in a nice outfit instead of looking like a rag like he usually does, Mrs. Graham yelled upstairs. Charlie, come on, get your duffel bag and let's not keep Chloe waiting. Come on, she's busy and it's getting dark. She needs her res, so behave and don't you dare give her an ounce of trouble, young man. 1 minute, Mom, Charlie yelled downstairs. Ah, sighed his mother, rolling her eyes as Charlie wandered down the stairs playing video games on his iPad. He's so rude these days. And don't worry if you can't get him to everything. It's a lot. A haircut, his uniform, soccer. I feel terrible burdening you with all this. Not many girls your age can handle all that, plus everything you've got going on. Go on your trip and don't worry about a thing. I've been sitting him for 6 years, since I was 13, so it's fine. I'll get it all done without a problem, said Chloe, typing everything into her phone before walking over and grabbing his bag. Come on, champ. We've got a full weekend ahead. Charlie hugged his mother goodbye, rolling his eyes at her as she kissed him a few times and went outside with Chloe. Backseat, little dude, said Chloe, giving him a look. I know your mother doesn't let you sit in the front, so don't try taking advantage. You're nowhere near the age or height requirement. Fine, said Charlie as she noticed him checking her out. I'm just a late bloomer. I'm almost old enough and my mom says a growth spurt is coming. Nothing wrong with being petite, said Chloe. I was always first in line in class too, until I got to high school. Relax, your time will come. Besides, you've got that cute button nose and big blue eyes. Though not tall, you'll have no trouble getting dates when you get older. Charlie got in as she tossed his duffel bag next to him and then drove to her house. They walked in and went upstairs as Chloe opened up the door to a small room. Okay, you know the drill, Charlie, said Chloe. Your mom says bed by 9 p.m. Get some rest, because tomorrow's a busy day. My parents are away with Sophie at a dance competition, so it'll be quiet here this weekend. Great, her room again? Said Charlie sarcastically. Good night, said Chloe, tossing him the clicker as he switched on the television and got into bed. And don't be playing video games all night. I'll be checking on you later. He watched some television and after about an hour or so, Chloe checked on him seeing he was asleep. In the morning, she came into his room and shook him awake. Come on, wake up and come down for breakfast, said Chloe. I'll be right down. Whatever, said a groggy Charlie, heading into the bathroom down the hall. Chloe picked his clothes up off the floor and proceeded to straighten up as her phone rang. Chloe, Kirk from the studio called. Sophie isn't coming back today, is she, because they have an opening for a little girl in your shoot, said her friend Camille on the phone. They're paying $500 for the test shot. Shit, that sucks. I'm doing everything to save for a new car, and that would come in handy if I could bring her, said Chloe, annoyed. She's gone until Sunday night. Thanks anyway. If I think of someone, I'll call you back. Chloe proceeded to make the bed, thinking about who else she could call. Feeling a lump under the pillow, she lifted it, shaking her head as she took Charlie's iPad from the pillow. He's so careless, said Chloe, putting it down on the dresser before seeing the screensaver click off. She lifted it again, smiling as she saw a picture of herself with her arm around Charlie. She was so touched that her picture was there and scrolled down, seeing another and then another of them together. Holy shit. You little perv, screamed Chloe, mortified as she scrolled. She now saw candids of her in her underwear, another topless, and shot after shot in provocative positions as she scrolled through the photos before quickly dialing her phone. Camille, turn the hell around, said Chloe, whispering to her friend. I need you back here ASAP. Chloe explained the situation, panicking as Camille turned around. Within 5 minutes, she was at Chloe's house as she let her in, trying to stay calm as Charlie sat eating breakfast. You better talk, Charlie, said Chloe, stepping in front of him. I can't believe you. Okay, just stay calm and let's discuss it in an adult manner, Chloe, said Camille. He's 9. I'm 10, said Charlie. Talk about what? I'm barely awake. About what? Said Chloe, holding up his iPad. About this. Give me that, screamed Charlie, jumping up. That's mine. It's private. Private? You mean those are my privates, you little perv, screamed Chloe. I can't believe you'd take these. Who has seen these? What the hell is wrong with you? No one, said Charlie nervously. Please, I'm sorry. Calm down, everyone. Let's chill for a minute, said Camille, pointing at them and then answering her phone. What's up, Kirk? Okay, we'll get back to you. I'm trying. Give me a few minutes. I'm in the middle of a crisis, okay? Bye. Forget Kirk, yelled Chloe. What the hell do I do here? How can I trust that these shots of me are not plastered everywhere? They could be all over the internet. This is my career and my life we're talking about here. I'm sorry, Chloe. You're just so hot, and I swear they're not, cried Charlie. Look at my history or whatever you want. They're just shots for me. He's just a boy, Chloe, and he's just a boy being a boy, said Camille. Glad you feel that way, because here's a video of us last night, said Chloe, hitting play. Motherfucker, said Camille, boiling as she watched the steamy video of her and Chloe together from last night. I'll kill this little asshole if this came out. My dad and my boyfriend would freak. We experiment, you little asshole. That's what girls do. Geez, 1 second. Now Kirk's calling my phone now, said Chloe, answering her call as Camille was scrolling through the iPad. Kirk, we're trying. My sister wouldn't do that kind of shot anyway, even for $1,000. She's a pain in the ass and only wants to do big girl shoots. I can't afford for this shoot to get cancelled, so we need to find. Wait a minute, I think I may have someone perfect. I'll call you right back in 10 minutes. What is it? Said Camille as Chloe hung up, smiling. Watch him for 1 minute, said Chloe, dashing upstairs. Don't you move a muscle. Chloe was creating quite a stir, opening and closing doors and drawers, and came dashing back downstairs with some clothes folded over her arm, tossing them on the sofa. Stand up and don't you dare give me an ounce of trouble, said Chloe, pulling him up and ripping off his shirt. Before he could even protest, his arms were lifted and a new shirt was pulled over his head. This is your way of getting even, said Charlie, seeing the flat collar pulled over his head. My mom had me in something stupid like this when I was a little kid. In fact, I was Popeye for Halloween once as a toddler. Fine, you want me to look ridiculous and then we're even. Go ahead, take my picture looking like an idiot as long as you let me keep that video of you too. Yes, size 6/7. Shit happens for a reason, Camille. Take it off him so it doesn't get wrinkled. Chloe ignored him and looked at Camille as she dialed her phone. Kirk, okay, I got a perfect fit. Noon works. I'll need just a little bit of time to get it together. Oh, Chloe, said Camille, pulling the shirt back over his head. You're not thinking what I think you're doing here? Go get your overnight bag from your car, Camille, said Chloe, smiling as she pulled the shirt back off over Charlie's head. I need your Remington, and then I'll run upstairs and get whatever else I need. Oh, this should be interesting, said Camille, running out to her car and then coming back with the bag. Okay, this is too weird, whined Charlie, as Chloe was sizing him up with her eyes, spinning his shirt around her index finger. Can I have my shirt, please? Soon enough, Charlie, said Chloe as Camille came back in. Chloe ran upstairs before quickly coming back down with a large blue fabric bag and a bed sheet. Right here, right? Said Camille, taking the sheet as Chloe nodded and they spread it out across the living room rug. Lie down and don't make a sound, said Chloe, grasping his arm and stunning him as she swept his feet out from under him. What the hell, Chloe? Charlie was stunned, finding his back on the ground lying on the sheet above the carpet. Sorry, sweetie, teased Chloe as Camille proceeded to pull off his pajama pants. Now don't fight me, because you're not really in a position with any options, Charlie. Please, what are you doing to me? Cried Charlie, hearing Camille giggling. Oh, Chloe, I love how you think, girl, said Camille, rifling through the fabric bag. It's a stretch, but I think it's gonna be serving him right anyway. Be still, as the first thing I'm doing is washing the dirt off this disgusting face and Camille will handle below the waist, said Chloe, as she pushed against his forehead. Your skin is beyond gross. Now it's not going to hurt, it's just my spa sonic and you're about to get your first facial. Protest and I promise I'll make it 10 times worse. Now shush and just lie here. He couldn't do much protesting, feeling the little buzzing circling his skin as she applied a cream and began massaging it in with her motorized buffer. I'll use my Remington, or would you rather I do something else? You got something for underneath? I can run to CVS or you got something new. You're not reusing down there, right? Said Camille as Chloe laid a warm hand towel over his moist skin. No, I got it covered, Camille, said Chloe, unzipping the bag she brought from upstairs. I'm pretty sure these will fit because my dad used to get them when Sophie went through that bad phase a few years ago. My mom never throws the stuff out just in case. She figures I'm always babysitting, but who knew I'd need them this weekend? I see everything we'll need in here. Oh, you're really digressing big time, I see, Camille laughed. This couldn't be more fitting. Well, hopefully they do or you will be running out for some jumbos, said Chloe, sharing the laugh. Is this really necessary? Asked Charlie as a louder buzzing sound of another device switched on. What is all this about? Shut up and give us no trouble, I told you, said Chloe. I'm going to change so we'll be ready to leave. You got this part, right? No problem, said Camille. Go ahead. He now felt Chloe sliding it up and down his legs, almost tickling, before he heard Chloe run back up the stairs. Camille gently worked on his legs and arms and every once in a while softly massaged a fragrant lotion all over his body. After about 10 minutes, he felt like his skin was warm and soft as he heard footsteps approaching, realizing it was Chloe. "Here, they're called just my size," said Chloe as Camille switched off the buzzing. "Perfect, these should fit fine," said Camille as he could feel them lift up his legs and back. "Good thing you're such a little twig." "Boys have no hips," teased Chloe. "They're gonna fit, I think." They tugged the sheet from under his back before replacing it as he now felt a slight chill as they placed him down on a plastic-feeling one. "Now don't be embarrassed, as I don't think you should since you've seen us in the buff and now we'll be even," said Chloe, pulling off his Spider-Man briefs quickly as he tried sitting up, but she stopped him, pushing his towel-covered face back down. "No, no, no. Lie back and don't make this difficult," said Camille as he heard a squirting sound. "Please, this is too weird, and that's so cold," said Charlie, beginning to shiver, feeling a little cream being rubbed on the inside of his thighs and near his butt crack. "My own mother doesn't see me like this. Nor do our parents, or little people we babysit, you little perv," said Camille, giving a soft slap on his bare behind. "Now shush." "Sorry, it's just the initial chill," said Chloe as they massaged more lotion onto the back of his legs as he squirmed while they lifted them. "But it'll feel nice and smooth later." He soon felt some tight underwear sliding up his legs, relieved they were no longer staring at his package. They lifted him a touch as they pulled them snugly up before he felt some socks and then shoes close around his feet. It was a slight sense of relief as Chloe was wiping the cream from his face as he opened his eyes. "My legs feel weird," said Charlie, seeing Chloe looking down on him. "If you're dressing me like a little doughboy or like some kid with his finger in the dam, it's not that funny. I saw that weird collar and necktie. This underwear's uncomfortable. Now take your blackmail picture and let's get this over with. Trust me, you'll look nothing like the little boy with his finger in the dam," said Chloe, helping him to his feet. "But I bet he'd think you're awfully cute. Hands up." He could give little protest as Chloe lifted his arms above his head while Camille dropped a garment over his head from behind. He looked down, stunned, watching it stop past his waist, seeing his feet in his new shoes while Chloe tucked it down and straightened it before he felt a zipper quickly right up his back. "Are you insane?" screamed Charlie, looking down at himself as they inspected him. "No way. Get me out of this right now. Stop, what are you doing to me?" "Shut up before it gets 10 times worse," Chloe giggled. "Now sit down and act like a big girl. Please, girls." "I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again," cried Charlie. "Please don't embarrass me like this." "Then sit," said Chloe sternly as Camille brought over a chair as they pushed him back into it. "You wanted to hang with the girls last night, and now you'll be getting that chance. You won't be embarrassed if you do exactly as I say, and do exactly what you're told," said Chloe, wrapping a long sheet over his body and around his neck. "Chin up and stop the whimpering," said Camille as she was circling him, dampening his hair with a spray bottle. "You can go finish getting ready, Chloe, and I'll finish up here. Just see if Sophie has something cute to hold the ends and match. He doesn't have much length, but there's enough I can work with." "I'm sure she does," said Chloe, running upstairs. "Be back after I do my face." "I said I was sorry," yelled Charlie, wincing as Camille was brushing very hard through his hair. "Please, I did." "Yup, you did," said Camille, twisting some of it and pulling tightly. "And now you'll prove it. Now be still as I have to get the knots out in the back, and that's going to hurt a touch." Charlie was already whimpering as she moistened and brushed over and over through his longish stringy hair, which barely grazed his shoulders. Finally she put down her wire brush and used her comb, parting his hair in the middle and flipping little sections back and forth at the back of his head as she tugged. "That's annoying," said Charlie, trying to pull away, seeing Camille holding a section on the right and working her way to the front of his head. "Please, you're pulling too hard. You're worse than a little girl, teased Camille, ignoring him as she wound in a band and tugged it tightly as he cringed. Now stop fidgeting and let me finish. I can't, cried Charlie as she worked the other side now. Please, it feels so tight. No more. I'm almost done, you big baby, said Camille, stepping in front of him and looking him over. I'm just going to fix them and you're done. Fix them? Asked Charlie, watching Camille walk behind him and then felt her stretch his hair on the left. Stop moving or you will get burnt. This gets hot, said Camille, sternly twisting his head with her palms on each side. You're lucky you don't have that much hair. This will be quick. He was quivering as Camille could care less, hearing the excessive aerosol spraying above his left ear and then felt the tension as she twisted. His teeth were chattering, hearing the sizzling sound next to his ear and then felt momentary relief as she finally released the tension. He could barely concentrate as Camille was saturating the other side now in hairspray, and he looked up, hearing Chloe coming down the stairs. Oh, Chloe, said Camille, looking at her friend and getting excited for her as Charlie felt the tension on the right now. Mature enough, said Chloe, giving a little pose. Are you kidding? I'd say those teen years look long gone, girlfriend, teased Camille, seeing Charlie looking her up and down just like Camille. I'd say some other little person approves too. He had never seen Chloe looking like this before, as finally Camille released his hair. His hot babysitter now looked so much older, but still incredibly sexy. He was used to seeing her in tight jeans and tops, but instead she now was dressed in a sharp, form-fitting light-colored suit. The rounded jacket and skirt were a neutral tan color, and her V-cut blouse was a very soft pink. It looked professional yet slightly sexy, as the tight skirt was hemmed 4 inches above her knees but left little to the imagination, as her large firm breasts were thoroughly on display. Her hair had been slicked back and pulled into a neat tight bun, and her makeup looked so pumped up and flawless. I see that, said Chloe, smiling as she patted his shoulder, approaching before handing some things to Camille. Here, this should really be cute and go perfectly. You finish the hair and I'll put these on him. Very pretty, said Camille, taking them as Chloe bent over right in front of him. He could barely breathe as Chloe touched his earlobe on the left as her breasts were inches from his face before she moved to the right. I love those, said Camille, as he was mesmerized, feeling some tugging on the left side his head for just a moment until Chloe finally stepped back. He could see entirely down Chloe's blouse after she walked across the room and bent over, sliding her feet into some 4-inch nude-colored sling-back pumps as Camille was working on the right now. He could feel himself salivating as her boobs jiggled a touch as she hopped a bit, adjusting the little strap behind her right ankle as Camille was sliding her fingers through his hair at the back on his head. Just a few more seconds, please, said Camille, squirting gel into her palms and pressing it onto his head. You're just about done. Ouch! Charlie winced, feeling Camille just give one last little tug on each side. Please, let's get whatever this is over with. Remember I said I was sorry. He looked up, seeing her come in front of him now, spraying his head with something that smelled like strawberries, as he instantly felt the stickiness as she couldn't stop grinning. We do some nice work together, I must say, said Camille, pulling the long cape from around his neck and stepping back, admiring her work. Definitely, screeched Chloe happily, as she could barely contain her smile, bouncing a little with her excitement. Stand up, Charlie, and let me get a good look at you. Adorable, said Camille. Absolutely adorable. Isn't he? Said Chloe, enthused and giving a few small claps. I can't, Camille. I just can't believe it's him. OMG, this is exciting. You mean she? I'd get that straight now, Chloe, before you slip, teased Camille. I'll get my keys and my bag. Keys? Are you insane? Cried Charlie, stunned, staring down at himself. I'm not going anywhere like this. Please, Enough is enough, Chloe. Look at these shoes, and those are my legs. This is a dress. You can't take me out in a dress. Relax, you've got nothing to worry about, said Chloe, taking his arm and dragging him over to the hall mirror. Look at yourself. You're cute as a button. Do you think I'd embarrass myself taking you out if you didn't look just darling? Now you'll need to sit properly in the car and not wrinkle your outfit. It's a classic rayon blend Bonnie jean, and I'll kill you if you ruin even one pleat. Charlie could barely breathe, staring at himself dressed from head to toe in a classic short-sleeve Bonnie jean sailor dress, seeing no sign of anything but a little girl staring back at him as Chloe stood behind him, undoing and readying the bow at his back while trying to contain her exuberance. The navy short-sleeve dress had a huge white sailor-style square collar trimmed in navy, as it was positioned across his shoulders with a white grosgrain bow in the center hanging down neatly on his chest. Across his rib cage were 4 double-breasted white and gold buttons on the front and little faux pocket flaps in front of each hip. The pleated skirt had 3 rows of white striping bordering the hem just above his knees, matching the same 3 stripes on the short sleeves, and in back a matching bow was tied, keeping it shapely. On his feet, navy suede Mary Janes buckled across each foot and a few delicate ruffles were a nice touch flowing from his white ankle socks. His knees were knocking as he stared at his hair, which had been parted down the middle now and gelled tightly against his scalp before swinging daintily in pigtails. He had just enough length to make short pigtails which sat high above his ears on each side, and hung as a single spring-like barrel curl, which were separated from his head by the delicate white silk bow tie type bow that Camille had just added. He reached up with his finger, touching his earlobe, feeling the miniature silver teddy bear earrings which were decorated with a few tiny rhinestone chips as Chloe interrupted, pulling away his fingers. "Stop. You'll knock them off," said Chloe, pushing at his wrist and then hugging him from behind as they stared in the mirror together. "They're only magnetic, so don't panic. Now stop stressing over nothing. Look at that face. Look how pretty you look. This will be fun." He tilted his head sighing, become conscious of how his face looked so soft and clean, as he could see his skin shine from the facial. He glanced down, seeing the little luster on his legs and arms which no longer displayed the tiny hairs he had a short time ago, and his nose picked up the scent of Johnson & Johnson products he recognized from many years gone past, as his senses seemed heightened now. "Ahoy, ladies," teased Camille, pulling Charlie from his gaze at himself. "I hate to break up this little staring thing going on, but we've got to set sail now and I don't want to speed there or crash, especially with little Missy in the back seat." "Sorry, I'm just so happy with how cute he looks," said Chloe, softly putting her hand on her chest as Camille whisked him out the door. "I just pictured the look in my head, but it came out even better than I hoped. I'll get my purse and be right out." Chloe grabbed a few bags and her purse as Charlie found himself being belted into the back seat of Chloe's parents' minivan stunned. Oddly Camille drove, glancing back a few times grinning as she looked at his irritated expression in the rear-view mirror. Chloe barely took a breath, chatting on her cell phone and working on her makeup in the passenger mirror at lights. After a brief 15-minute drive, Camille pulled over to the curb as Charlie's eyes widened, realizing he'd be getting out. "Okay, so I expect you'll be on your best behavior, or you'll find yourself alone wandering around like this," said Chloe, coating her lips. "Whatever I tell you to do. You nod and do it. Understand?" "Do?" cried Charlie. "I can't do anything like this. Please, Chloe. I can't be seen like this." "No one is seeing Charlie anymore when they look at you, honey," said Camille, pressing a button as the minivan door automatically slid open next to Charlie. "Have a nice mother/daughter day, girls." "Good luck, Chloe, and try doing some smiling chels." "No way," chirped Charlie, as Chloe got out and unbuckled his seatbelt. "Chels? That's right, my sweetie. And as of right now you'll start calling me mommy while we're out in public," said Chloe, taking him by the hand. As far as anyone is concerned, once we walk through those glass doors in front of us, you're my darling little daughter Chelsea. Charlie was ready to pee his pants as the minivan automatically closed behind him. Chloe threw the shoulder strap of her purse over her left shoulder and grabbed the large bag with her free hand while taking Charlie by the hand with the other. He had no idea what he was in for as they strolled through the double glass doors before being greeted by a man with a clipboard. "Hi, Kirk sent me over." Chloe extended her hand. "I'm Chloe Kimball, and this is Chelsea." "Oh, wonderful Mrs. Kimball. We've been expecting you," said the man. "Hello, Chelsea. Don't you look so pretty, princess, in your cute little sailor suit?" "I'm Max." "Say thank you, Chels," Chloe prodded him. "Thanks," said Charlie, avoiding eye contact. "It's okay, honey. We don't bite here, and that's such a pretty name," said Max. "How old are you?" "I'm T-, said Charlie as immediately Chloe interrupted. "She just turned 8, said Chloe, squeezing his hand tightly. "Kirk had told me that she'd be young enough for this shoot. Should I put down 7 on the form? She is a bit petite for her age." "Well, that's up to him, but we were looking younger honestly, Mrs. Kimball," said Max. "I mean honestly, you look too young to have a daughter her age." "Oh, thank you so much. I had her so young, but it's been a joy," said Chloe, giving him a playful tap. "Time flies when you start getting through your mid-20s. "I'll trade you." "I'm on my way to 40, said Max. "Well, you look 10 years younger, Max," said Chloe, playfully flirting. "Thanks, so you just have a seat until he's ready for you," said Max. Chloe took Charlie by the hand and they turned a few corners before finding themselves in a waiting room with a few other moms and young girls. You could see the other moms sizing them up and looking them over as Chloe took a seat with Charlie. "Go sit with the other kids and color, honey," said Chloe, handing him a book from the rack and taking a few magazines. "But said Charlie, starting to speak as she cut him off. "Chelsea. We talked about things like this, young lady," said Chloe, insisting. "Mommy has things to do. Now go." Charlie couldn't believe what he was about to do as she ushered him across the room. He found himself sitting at a small table as he opened a coloring book filled with ponies and fairies. As he glanced over, seeing her shoot him a nasty look and nodding as she raised her brows. He knew he had little choice, taking crayon to paper as he found himself coloring with little girls 3 or 4 years younger than him. It seemed to take forever as people were coming and going as Chloe read her magazines and texted repeatedly as he glanced over. "Mrs. Kimball," said a woman, poking her head into the room. "Yes, hi," said Chloe, jumping up. "Kirk is inside and ready for you. Please go right in." "Thanks, come on, Pumpkin," said Chloe as she stood up, placing her magazines down and buttoning her suit jacket. She walked over, holding out her hand as he looked around, seeing most eyes glancing at them. He could see some of the catty looks from some of the other ladies peeking up from their magazines, feeling like he was being judged as they entered another room. "Well, you never cease to amaze me, Chloe," said Kirk, hugging her as they entered his office and then stepping back, looking at her. "I could see the looks you were getting out there by some of the other ladies. You make one hot mom." "Thank you," said Chloe, flattered. "But 26, said Kirk, looking at her paperwork. "It's a stretch, Chloe." "Airbrush in a few wrinkles and don't shoot my good side," teased Chloe. "You're the best. You can do it. How about my little girl? You like what I've done here, and luckily I was able to find the outfit. Come on, she's adorable, right? She's very cute. I am looking for something like that, and I love the sailor thing you put on her." "She's got potential," said Kirk, lifting Charlie's chin and looking him over. "Come on, let's see how it looks inside, under the lights." Kirk opened a door at the back of his office as Charlie was stunned, seeing a series of cameras, props, and some staff. A young, pretty woman came over leading him to a chair he had to step up into, and before he knew it they had a plastic wrap over him as they were powdering and brushing at his face. He looked over seeing them touching up Chloe's makeup as she was reading some sheets of paper with a serious look on her face. "Okay, you ready, Chloe?" said Kirk. "I know she's a rookie, but I'd rather you not tell her the scene because I want to see if we can capture that real look of surprise. The raw emotion." "Oh, I think you're going to get it, Kirk," said Chloe, handing him the sheets. "Be ready on that first take." "Chelsea, come here, sweetie," said Kirk as he walked over. "All I want you to do is smile and look cute. Don't be nervous, honey. This will be fun and you've only got one line. When she talks to you, all you do is look her in the eyes and then sip the milk. There will be just a little in the container, and then you say your line. Use the cutest, squeakiest voice you've got, please." Charlie begrudgingly nodded as Kirk positioned him staring at Chloe in front of a large green screen. He turned his chin up, staring up at Chloe while Wardrobe perfectly straightened his dress and gave a few final pats to his face with some powder. "Okay, action," said Kirk. "Sweetheart, drink your milk so you'll grow big and strong like mommy," said Chloe, acting as she knelt in front of him and then held the small container to his lips. "I hope so, mommy," said Charlie, staring at her big breasts, seeing the light shining on them as she put the container to his lips and drank. "You didn't save any for me, Mrs. K," said a voice from behind, surprising Charlie. "Sorry, Toby," said Chloe, acting as Charlie turned his head seeing the young boy dressed in a white sailor suit and shorts. "It's okay, Mrs. K," said a young boy, winking at Charlie. "I'll share with Chelsea. Plus, girls this pretty should never have a milk mustache." "Toby," shouted Chloe, covering her mouth, acting surprised and batting her lashes. The taste of milk quickly left Charlie's taste buds, sensing the cherry chapstick on the boy's lips, realizing his lips ever so softly touched his before he could even react. "Yum. Milk, it does the body good," said the boy, licking his lips as he slipped his fingers between Charlie's. "Cut," yelled Kirk. "Fantastic, everyone. Toby, Chelsea. You two were great together. Honey, you are a natural." The sheer surprise was amazing. The way she looked stunned. The kiss looked good. We've got the little curls bouncing. Her expression. Priceless. "That's why I told you to be red, Kirk," teased Chloe. "You're not topping that one." "Okay, we'll see." "Let's do it again, everyone," said Kirk. Places, everyone. Charlie could hardly function as they wasted no time with the second take. He knew what was coming this time and turned his cheek, as Kirk was displeased. "You two have to connect," said Kirk sternly. "Let's go again." They now went over and over as Charlie was really getting more and more upset each time. His stomach was in knots and feeling dizzy until after the sixth take he felt a warm rush he couldn't control as Toby held the kiss a bit longer this time. "Mommy, I have a problem." I just," said Charlie, looking down at the floor and whispering in her ear as she began giggling. "It's okay, you're fine," said Chloe, chuckling as she hugged him. "Relax, it's not exactly what I expected, but I got it covered." "Is everything okay?" said Kirk. "No, it's fine." "We're prepared," said Chloe, flipping her wrist. "But maybe someone could go out and get my diaper bag. I left it in the lobby." "She's just a bit nervous as I expected, and with all the milk and under the hot lights, but I'll change her when we're done." "I know she's a little big for it, but I anticipated there could be some nerves so she's in a pull-up." "Smart woman, Chloe," said Kirk nodding. "You do know your daughter, and that's impressive." Most parents are never prepared. I think we've got enough good takes anyway. Why don't you change her and meet me in my office and we'll chat? Sure thing, said Chloe, taking the diaper bag from one of the assistants and then his hand. Come on, pumpkin. Part 2. Chloe dragged him into the ladies' room and inside the handicapped stall, closing the door. He was mortified as she folded down the changing table and wasted no time lifting him up onto it. Good thing I ate my Wheaties today. Chloe teased him as he was stunned as his head and feet hung off the plastic fold-down compartment, which was bolted to the wall. This is embarrassing, Chloe, said Charlie, tearing up. Please, I think we're more than even now. Can we leave after this? Well, we've at least both got a same-sex smooching video now, replied Chloe, lifting his feet as he could feel the wet pull-up slide down his legs. I'd keep those pretty little lips closed if I were you, unless you'd like me to arrange a play date with that handsome boy. You two looked very cute together, and I'm pretty sure he liked you. That's not funny, whined Charlie as she was wiping him with some baby wipes and applying some ointment. I didn't kiss him. That was all him and it was gross. You've taken this too far. Me? I've taken it too far? You're kidding, right? Chloe slid a new pull-up down his legs. You've got years of photos of me and I've got a 30-second video. I'd keep my mouth shut, Chelsea, if I were you. True, giggled Charlie, happy for a second as Chloe lifted him to his feet and took his hand. Come on, I have to go finish up with Kirk and then we're out of here, said Chloe. At least he didn't feel wet anymore, he thought, as Chloe dragged him from the bathroom back to Kirk's office. They sat watching the raw footage as Charlie was stunned how he looked on camera, realizing no one would really ever recognize him as he looked so young and girly. So, just so you know, Chloe, said Kirk, handing her a check. You were right on the first take and you two looked amazing together. Plus, Chelsea with Toby was magic. So can we talk about using it, and I have a few other things in mind. Thank you so much. Absolutely, let's talk business, said Chloe, getting up and hugging Kirk before seeing her phone ring. Sorry, I have to get this. It's her actual mom. Sure, go ahead, Kirk replied. Hey, Mrs. Graham. How's it going? Said Chloe, mostly doing the listening. Really? Really? Wow. Look, it's fine. We're having a great time together, and I've gotten nothing but full cooperation. Chloe got up and walked outside chatting away, as Charlie sat there twiddling his thumbs as Kirk picked up a phone call, basically ignoring him for a good 10 minutes. Thank you again, said Chloe as she finally re-entered, handing Charlie the phone. You'd be shocked at the things he's enjoying doing. Here, honey. She wants to say hi. Hi, said Charlie, listening and saying little as Chloe stared him down. Another few days? Maybe a week? But, bye. Yes, okay. Charlie rolled his eyes before he gulped, seeing the grin on Chloe's face as he handed her back the phone. So go and do whatever you have to do. Whatever it takes is fine, said Chloe, beaming as she chatted away. Don't worry. I doubt I'll have an ounce of trouble. Bye now, and I'll take care of everything. Everything good? Asked Kirk, looking at her as she hung up. Couldn't be better, said Chloe, grinning and kicking off her heels and pulling out her bun. Sir, here are the faxes for Miss Kimball, said his receptionist, interrupting and handing Kirk a few sheets of paper. Awesome. These are from his actual mother. Kirk noted, snickering at Charlie as he read the forms. You're amazing, Chloe. I know. His mother gave me guardian rights while she's gone, and okayed the modeling. Now you can publish the video, replied Chloe, patting herself on the back and flipping her hair, trying to act a little flirty. Now am I getting the other part or what? You are one persistent girl, Chloe, and I must say you came through for me today, said Kirk, smiling as she sat on the edge of his desk now. If I gave you that part, you have to make some adjustments. It's supposed to be a reality series. I can't just airbrush on a few years, but with your looks it could work, as we do want someone to give us some high ratings. No big deal, Kirk. I read the profile, said Chloe, standing up and swishing her hips, showing off her body. I can do trashy or sexy, no problem. Ditzy, seductive, dingy, whatever. It's not like every reality series isn't filled with people acting. Plus, come on, you have to admit, I make a hot young mom, right? You got me there, replied Kirk, scratching his chin. Well, call me later, as I've got to get my little model here changed and get out on some errands, said Chloe, giving him a hug. We've got soccer, and I hate to do it, but it's time to cut that mop before school on Monday. It was fun while it lasted, but back to little brat status we go. We'll just have to work those things into our schedule then. I can't split you two, and our hot mom needs a cute daughter. Brat status will have to wait. You both start immediately, said Kirk, buzzing his receptionist and pushing over an agreement for Chloe to sign. Have them ready the crew to begin filming, and alert our hair and makeup team. We're going out on location to shoot a pilot starting today. Holy shit! I love you, screamed Chloe, hugging him and immediately signing the contract. This is incredible. I'm so psyched. Wait, are you kidding me? Asked Charlie, stunned. You said I was done. I can't do this, Chloe. Please, I thought I was done. Think again, pretty girl, and you're welcome, Chloe, said Kirk, lifting Chloe's hair up and looking over at Charlie as a group of people entered and Kirk nodded at them. I just need to get both of you looking more authentic. I'm looking to keep the wholesome look on Chelsea that she had in the sailor suit, and the sexy young thing you've both got going, but you'll both need some makeovers. Everyone, make it happen. Chloe could barely contain herself as they were led into the next room. Charlie was shaking with fear as the group quickly unzipped his dress, and he soon found himself in a bathrobe, as did Chloe. They were seated across from each other as Charlie looked straight across at Chloe, seeing a hairdresser behind her brushing her hair. Over his shoulder, his own hairdresser undid his pigtails as he watched the bows from his head being placed on the table next to him, providing momentary relief as the tension from their tightness was gone. So, are you any good at soccer? Asked Kirk, stepping between them as he looked up, cringing as they brushed the stiff gel from his hair. I'm not bad, said Charlie, surprised by the question. We'll work on that, honey. I like that. We can work that in, said Kirk, rubbing his chin and looking over at Chloe. Okay, Kelly, give me a sexy soccer mom. That should be a good start. Got it, boss, said Chloe's hairdresser, pulling all her long hair into a single pony between her fingers on the left side and winding in a rubber band below her chin. About there? Wait! What the hell, Kirk? Screamed Chloe. I'm not cutting my hair. I understand you want a certain look. Get me a wig. I love my hair. I'm not chopping off all that. Chloe, we agreed on authentic, right? Said Kirk, throwing up his hands. I need a hot mom that doesn't have time to worry about herself. She's still young, so she's trying to act sexy, but has had to make sacrifices as a single parent for her little girl. You're not going to be in designer clothes or look like you just stepped out of the salon here. Now are we on the same page, Chloe? I know, but my hair? Cried Chloe. You want this, right? Said Kirk. That's the role. Trashy, but a little disheveled. You suck, Kirk, replied Chloe, cringing and taking a deep breath, then nodding. Go ahead, before I freak out. Don't worry, I want your beautiful face and those gorgeous boobs as the focal point of my show, said Kirk, pointing in a commanding way. Kelly, you heard me. Now give me a soccer mom look please, and then let's get them looking like family. You got it, boss, said Kelly as Chloe winced, closing her eyes and hearing the scissors shear through her hair. She looked up, seeing the surprised expression on Charlie's face as he saw her long pony tossed on the vanity next to her. Okay, now we've got to match you two up, said Kelly, tapping Chloe's thigh to get up. Come on, ladies. Let's work on that mother-daughter connection. This should be interesting, sighed Chloe, standing up as she followed Kelly to the sink. Don't worry, Mrs. Kimball, we'll be gentle with Chelsea. We can't get away with a rinse that won't be harmful, said Bonnie. The real processing we'll keep for you. Chloe sat back as they began washing her hair as Charlie wasn't exactly sure what was happening, as he found himself in the adjacent hair. Within moments, he was having his hair washed out as well, as he glanced over seeing them working on Chloe. Finally the water was switched off as Charlie relaxed, enjoying the massaging on his scalp before they switched his sink back on again, rinsing his hair over and over. When they finished, they towel-dried his hair and then dried a small strand with a handheld dryer, tugging at it uncomfortably. It's a pretty tone, Bonnie, said Kelly. Go get started, and I'm pretty sure I can get Chloe there after the toning. Will do, said Bonnie, wrapping his hair in a towel. She led him back to her chair, wrapping him with a long plastic cape as he sat. She took her time towel-drying his hair and combed through it over and over as she pointed his chin towards the floor. Okay, boss, said Bonnie, questioning him as he came over. Yes, that should show nicely on camera, said Kirk. I'd like her looking younger though. Can you give me another year or two with the right hair and makeup? I'll try, but you're asking a lot, said Bonnie. Younger than bows and pigtails? Work your magic, Bonnie, said Kirk, tapping her shoulder and lifting Charlie's chin, looking into his eyes. She's got a baby face, so match it up. I've got wardrobe pulling some options now. Yes, sir, said Bonnie, taking her brush from her vanity. Eyes closed, Chelsea, let's see what we can do. Time to turn back the clock a little. Charlie was getting even more nervous, feeling her fingers swirl through his hair. She brushed to the left and then to the right as she seemed to be struggling with exactly what to do as Kelly came over now. Stop fretting, Bonnie, said Kelly, putting her hand under Charlie's chin and lifting his face. You're overthinking. This isn't a Hollywood starlet. You're not doing angles or layers on some diva here. Highlight her delicate features. That cute button nose, round face, and big eyes. You're right, said Bonnie, chiming up. I just never worked in kitty cuts, so I missed those lessons. You do now, and that's what he wants, teased Kelly as they shared a laugh. Think young and precious. Here, I think this would be cute on her. Kelly scrolled through some pictures on her phone and showed one to Bonnie. Oh, that's so adorable, said Bonnie as Kelly was holding up the phone and looking over at Charlie. I had a niece that looked like that when she was little. See, there you go then, said Kelly. Even her out and use the minis. It'll be work, but with her face shape and the Jessica McClintocks they were going to choose from the promo shot, it should give Kirk what he's looking for. Thanks, Kelly, Bonnie hugged her. Let me get moving. Me too. I've got to go wash out her mother's hair, and she's still got to get her face done, said Kelly looking at her watch. We're fine on time though. Do it right. Ready to look adorable, honey? Asked Bonnie, holding a scissor in front of his face. Not that you didn't before, but this should be really cute on that pretty face. Charlie was petrified now as he felt Bonnie sectioning his hair in the back and begin snipping. She was sliding his wet hair back and forth between the bristles of her comb, stretching each small section between her fingers as she was snipping away. He knew he'd be getting a haircut this weekend before school, but wasn't sure exactly what she was doing, as it felt more like a haircut he normally got by the barber, as he felt small section after section slide down his cheek and neck. He wasn't sure how this could be bad, saddened that his longish hair was being trimmed away, but he figured it couldn't look as bad as what Camille had done to him earlier. She was working on top of his head now, trimming, and then covered his eyes with her palm as she brushed past his nose. "Be still, honey." "Almost there," said Bonnie, sliding the blade across the bridge of his nose as he winced. "You really needed to be evened out badly. It's like you let a shaggy boy's cut just go wild." He could feel the long strand slide down his face as she brushed all of his hair straight back and then moved her palm, allowing his eyes to open. She blew some air upwards towards his cheek, whisking away some little stray hairs that were itching him. She took her hairdryer, blowing away all the stray hair, and then he looked over, seeing her roll over a cart. "Sit still for me, darling," said Bonnie as she opened a drawer, taking out a few sliver pin clips and handing him a small box of tissue papers. "You just hand me these when I tell you, dear." He felt the tension at the back of his head as Bonnie combed near his neckline and snapped in the few clips. She took a small tissue paper from his fingertips, and then he could hear it crumbling, and the tension as she stretched his hair. His legs began shaking, looking over as he saw her open a container and take the very thin plastic little red and blue rods, as he could feel her wind one quickly into his hair. There wasn't much he could do as she took the next tissue paper from his grasp, and he now realized this was part of a process, feeling the next rod wind in. He closed his eyes, nervous as to exactly what he was about to look like, feeling the tension climb up the back of his head and then on top, as rod after rod wound in. "Looking good, Bonnie," said Kelly as Charlie cracked open his eyes. "Hey ladies," said Bonnie as Kelly stood behind Chloe, now across from him with her hair wrapped in a towel. "Is she precious, or what all wound up in them, Mrs. Kimball?" "Well, we did have a haircut on the agenda this weekend, but I'm sure it's not what either of us expected," said Chloe, seeing all the clippings on the floor. "Just make sure you get a picture of her like this all rolled up for me. Her expression is priceless." "Will do," said Bonnie, continuing to roll as Kelly worked on Chloe's makeup. "It'll be nice to have a shot of her first set for your scrapbook." It wasn't long now as finally she finished inserting the rods in Charlie's hair, as she stretched a hair net over his head. She then wheeled over a portable dryer, lowering it over his head as he was extremely nervous, knowing he soon would have a new hairdo. As he sat there feeling the warm air blast on his head, she took an emery board, buffing and shaping his nails on his right hand before he smelled the fumes of a scent he knew from home and looked down. He grew even sicker, seeing how she held his pinky and watched the brush stroke the very light pink polish slide across his nail. She fanned out his fingers, blowing on them, and then jumped to his other hand, painting them as well. When she finished, she lifted the dryer, touching his head in a few places before lowering it again as the air grew cool this time. "Just a little more, sweetie," Bonnie told him as he looked, trying to see Chloe as Kelly was in front of her trimming, but noticing how much darker her hair was now. "Keep those nails fanned out, honey." Bonnie now clear-coated his nails as he felt the air get very hot again. He was baking as it finally switched off, and she lifted it, looked satisfied as she checked his hair. "Can I have some water?" said Charlie, fanning himself to cool off as Bonnie gave him a bottle with a straw. "Sure, just don't touch anything with those nails, dearie," said Bonnie. It looked so weird to him, seeing his soft pink nails holding it as he sucked it down as she now took some powder to his face. "Are we getting closer to results, ladies?" said Kirk, walking over clapping. "Finish up, please. I've got a schedule to keep." "Almost there, boss," said Kelly. "Relax, I think you'll be pleased with our work." "He's such a pain sometimes," said Bonnie, softly brushing at Charlie's cheeks. "When you get older, you'll learn you can't rush beauty, Chelsea." Bonnie rubbed her finger in a little jar and then softly patted it against Charlie's lips. He could taste the little bubble gum flavor as she wiped her finger and then began carefully unwinding his hair. It was the weirdest sensation feeling the first section stretch and then spring back against his head as the plastic clink sound of the roller being tossed back in the canister was at least a welcome sound. Her fingers felt so cold now against his still warm hair and neck as he tensed up, feeling a little urge. "I need to pee soon," cried Charlie, squeezing his legs together. "Honey, you'll have to hold it, please," said Chloe as Kelly stepped out of his line of sight. "Let Kelly finish and Mommy's almost ready." He was practically hyperventilating as he looked over, seeing Kelly circle Chloe in hairspray as his mouth dropped, seeing her new look. He had never seen her lips look so big and pink as she smiled behind a thick salmon pink gloss. Her golden brown hair was now a deep shiny auburn red, and had been chopped into a short chin-length fringe. Her short style featured loose stacked tendril-like curls sweeping across her face from an angled side part, and as she twisted her neck the back of her hair had been buzzed into ultra-short thick layers. "Stop staring, Chelsea," said Chloe, annoyed at him. "It'll take some getting used to, I know, and eventually grow out, but I guess so will yours." "Yeah, years," mumbled Charlie to himself. "She's still thirsty, Bonnie," said Chloe, getting pissed at him. "Oh, sure. Here's another, sweetie," said Bonnie, giving him another water. "Almost done getting these out, sweetie, and then Mommy can take you potty." "Drink up, Chels," said Chloe sternly as Charlie was pressing his thighs together nervously as he drank. "She's fine. She's an alarmist. Go ahead and finish up." "Hi, Mrs. Kimball, I'm Monica from Wardrobe." "Will you dress her here, Mrs. Kimball?" said Monica, extending her hand. "I tried to pick the most precious little thing we've got in her size." "Sure, here is fine," said Chloe, taking the bag. "In there are her tights and shoes." "Put them on her and then finish her hair," said Monica. "In the box are the accessories if you want to use them, Bonnie, and I'll be back in a few minutes when you're ready to finish dressing her." "Sounds good," said Chloe, pulling the cape from around her neck and getting up. As she bent over taking the white tights from the bag, Charlie forgot almost everything around them, looking right down her shirt. She rolled the tights and began sliding them around his ankle, as he no longer was thinking anything about the rods being released from his hair. She guided them up his body and lifted him up for a second, pulling them taut before snapping the waistline as she sat him back down. He loved staring at Chloe, and as usual she didn't disappoint, as her boobs were barely contained in her low-cut rounded top of her obviously braless silk pink form-fitting dress, which was hugging every inch of her curvy frame. "Whoa, Mommy," gasped Charlie, leaning forward as she buckled the shoes on his feet and stepped back. You look." "Thank you, sweetie," said Chloe, shooting him a nasty look as she squeezed his face, cutting off his sentence. "I know Mommy looks a little different, but when you get older, you'll realize that's what girls do." "Excuse me, Mrs. Kimball," said Bonnie, interrupting with a brush in her thin flat iron as Chloe slid on a matching jacket and fastened the single button. "I just need to fix the front, please." "Almost there, princess." Hearing that, his nerves again began reacting as he began slightly shaking as she brushed his hair forwards on her forehead and slid in her flat iron, twisting it. "She's cute in bangs, right?" said Bonnie as she dipped her comb into his scalp behind them, pulling firmly as he winced. "Ouch, that really hurts," cried Charlie as she held a section very tightly in one hand. "Sorry, Chelsea, honey," said Bonnie, twisting his hair a touch as he heard a distinct snap and some pressure at the back of the crown of his head. "Right, now they're tight so it takes a little getting used to, and we just needed to do a little something cute to dress it up." "Maybe go a little shorter on the bangs, please, Bonnie," said Chloe, annoyed as she turned, sliding off her slippers. "But I just curled it under and you want them that short?" said Bonnie, surprised. "Yup, that's the look we're going for, right?" said Chloe, as she stepped into her 5-inch pink stilettos. Just over-exaggerate the forehead a touch, and she'll look more babyish. True, we've come this far, replied Bonnie, placing her scissors an inch above his brow line. Like here. That looks about right, said Chloe, smiling as she winked at Charlie as Bonnie sheared through his forehead. She doesn't want to look anything but precious. Right, pumpkin? When she finished, she brushed through it as Charlie sat there seeing Chloe staring at him with her arms folded. Bonnie carefully separated and picked at the back of his head now, as she was spraying with her hairspray as she worked. He could smell the fruity scent as she softly set it with a hairdryer, ever so precisely pulling and fussing as Kirk walked over, inspecting them. You're good, Bonnie, and Chloe, you look sensational, said Kirk, nodding as he looked her over and then studied Charlie. What did I tell you, Chloe? Meg Ryan and Christina Applegate would be jealous. You rock the short hair, and make a much hotter mom. Thanks, said Chloe, touching her hair. It will take some getting used to and I hate you for it, but trust me I won't let you down for giving me this opportunity. I know you won't, gorgeous, said Kirk, patting her ass. Now let's get little Shirley Temple here done. Get her dressed, ladies. Monica, we're ready over here. We've got an episode to film. Here you go, Mrs. Kimball, said Monica, returning now behind Charlie. How pretty is that, said Chloe, reacting as she walked behind him. You guys are good here. Okay, stand up, honey, said Bonnie as she undid his cape as he stood and then slid off his robe. Don't worry. You and Mommy are going to look so adorable together. He felt embarrassed, trying to avoid eye contact and looking down, staring at his legs in tights and getting a good view of the shiny white patent shoes as he found himself about to be dressed in front of a group of strangers. Chin up, arms out, and step in, honey, said Chloe, as she bent down in front of him. He was silent as she lifted his leg and then the other, as he watched his new outfit slide up his body. It was beyond his comprehension as he could do nothing as Chloe slid his arms through the short sleeves, and he found himself standing there feeling button after button close on his back. It's a perfect fit, I think, and it looks beautiful on her, said Monica, pleased with her selection. Are you happy with that, Mrs. Kimball? This is all quite overwhelming today, said Chloe, fanning herself with her palm and getting emotional. I can't even believe we're about to do this. It's perfect, Monica. Thank you, Mrs. Kimball. If there's nothing else, then I'll need to get back to work, said Monica, and then she turned to Kirk. Did we need anything for her older daughter, because I might have a match in a larger size? I just watched the footage and she was so precious in the pigtails and sailor suit. No, we're all set, said Kirk as everyone shared a little laugh. It'll just be her younger daughter moving forward. Good job, ladies. Now let's get a few shots for the promo, and then we're out on location. Charlie couldn't be more nervous after Monica's innocent comment, as he wasn't exactly sure how he looked, but knew it wasn't good, looking down at his legs covered in his new shiny dress. Chloe dragged him from the room, following Kirk as he found himself back in the studio. You're going to hug Mommy and let her kiss you, and then we'll pose you two a few ways, said Kirk. This will be quick and then we'll be on the road, ladies. As they posed him with Chloe taking some stills, he enjoyed the hug as they snapped some shots until his joy was broken as he could now see his reflection in the lenses. He felt ready to puke, almost stunned, seeing how young and girly he looked in the soft pink silk A-line dress. It had short puffy sleeves, a simple tapered bodice and a huge matching bell skirt, all in matching silk. Around his waist, a thick slightly darker silk sash surrounded him before it was tied in a huge bow on his back, and his skirt puffed out from under a few layers of delicate white crinoline. He glanced at Chloe, realizing their dresses were the same color and shine, except obviously he was in the version meant for her little daughter. As the camera rolled in for a close-up, he could hardly stop shaking as it was closing in on his face. He had a hard time believing what he was seeing, stunned that Chloe's and his head now both contained auburn curls. "Get closer, guys," yelled Kirk to his camera crew. "You girls are gorgeous. The love and emotion in your eyes is fabulous, and you couldn't look more perfect together as mother and daughter." Seeing it clearer as they approached, Charlie could feel his eyes begin watering, shocked that all the trimming was to even out his hair into short layers, so it could be set into a series of short, tight, baby-like curls. In front was the only place it was straight, as he had super short toddler-like bangs, looking more like it had never grown out yet, than been cut purposely this way. Behind them his hair on top was pulled back tightly before being twisted under and held in place by a ridiculously huge pink bow clip. The oversized silk bow tie type bow stretched from almost side to side and had two delicate strands of ribbon streaming from under it, giving it a delicate finished look. Behind it were nothing but almost kinky auburn tight curls well off his shoulders, as they seemed to span outwards more than downwards in length, giving the effect of a delicate permed curly short babyish style. "She's a marvelous actress," yelled Kirk, seeing a tear flow down Charlie's face as Chloe squeezed him. "This was fantastic. Cut. Okay, let's get outside and shoot a few takes." Quickly they approached Charlie, blotting the little tears from the corner of his eyes before he found himself being dragged outside. He barely looked up, being dragged down the block hand in hand with Chloe, followed in front and back by a camera crew. It wasn't more than a block before they turned the corner, and he found himself outside a small park and online at the ice cream truck. It wasn't that bad sitting next to her on a bench licking his cone, but it was distracting seeing cameras filming them from a distance. As he finished his custard, they were surrounded by the crew standing him up and huddling around him, blocking anyone's view, unbuttoning his dress as Chloe raced over jumping inside a van at the curb. He could barely blink, amazed how fast she raced in heels and how sexy it looked before they blocked his vision as they ripped his dress right over his head and dropped another over him as this seemed crazy to do in public. As they stepped back, it was amazing seeing Chloe in what seemed like an instant, heading back towards him as his eyes were popping seeing her new appearance. Gone was the tight sexy dress, but he was loving every wiggle as she approached as he could barely even think about his own appearance, feeling a zipper slide up his back. Nothing had been left to the imagination in the super low-cut, braless red crop top belly shirt, which she was practically busting out of, as it ended just above her navel, showing off her tight abs and dangling silver belly ring he remembered from the video. Below the waist was a super short green mini, and on her feet were red peep-toed 5-inch slingbacks, as she looked more like trailer trash than his old babysitter. "I love the way they're matching us. Don't you, Chelsea?" teased Chloe, taking his hand as he felt them changing the barrette on his head. He could barely take his eyes off her as the crew scattered, attempting to fade into the background. He was so enthralled with her hot looks until he looked down, ready to puke, seeing himself in the red, pink and green dress and realized they matched again. It was hot and sickening at the same time, seeing strawberry shortcake logo across his chest and staring at the tutu-like green and pink skirt across his thighs. He looked around, seeing all the kids playing in the park and could see all the eyes staring at them. "Just smile and don't act up," whispered Chloe, as she quickly surprised him, lifting him and carrying him on her right hip. "They're so jealous of how cute you are, honey." She walked, carrying him with his feet dangling as he could see all the mothers giving her dirty looks as she walked, smiling at the men through the playground area. She placed him down near the swings as his eyes widened, realizing what she was about to do as she walked behind him, placing her hands around his waist. "Those are 4-, said Charlie, staring to protest. "Of course it'll be fun with mommy pushing pumpkin," said Chloe, cutting him off as he could hear her grunt, lifting him off the ground. "Now just try to be a big girl for mommy, okay?" It was very humiliating watching his feet slide through the two openings as she wedged him tightly into the enclosed swing. He knew he was small, but it was annoying as she began to swing him in the chair. She stepped out in front of him, pushing as they looked eye to eye at each other each time the swing approached. She was loving all the dirty looks from mothers and seductive stares from men she was getting as she peeked around while she wiggled her body, pushing the swing. "Wasn't that fun, my big girl?" squealed Chloe, kissing him all over his face before she lifted him from the swing as it finally stopped. He was completely mortified as she took him by the hand now, walking from the park as he could see all the eyes leering at him and felt her lipstick all over his face. As he reached up his finger to wipe it, she stopped him smiling as she took her time, allowing every wandering eye to see them until they finally walked back to the studio. "Great work everyone," said Kirk as they entered to applause. "Chloe, you are beyond sexy as a mom, and Chelsea is amazing. Now quick change on the outfits into the casual stuff and let's get out of the studio again." Monica came in, handing Chloe a new top as she turned her back away from the crew and proceeded to pull off her tiny top. Charlie couldn't believe any of this could be real as he stood almost salivating, seeing her firm bouncing jugs as she quickly pulled the new top over her head. "There's your little treat from Mommy for being such a good girl," whispered Chloe as they wiped his cheeks. "It's not like you haven't seen Mommy like this before?" He had no idea what to say as Monica was unzipping his dress and he watched Chloe strip to her panties. As she kicked away her skirt, he was dying inside as she wiggled into some shorts as he quickly found himself about to be changed as they brought out his uniform. They powdered his face and he stepped out of his dress, having little choice as Monica stretched the hot pink soccer jersey over his head and they had him step into the matching shorts over his tights. His shorts were decorated with sporadic black round spots, and across his chest in black letters were the team name Pink Lady Bugs. She sat him down now as they pulled off his shoes before sliding on his shin guards and then covering them with hot pink socks which were covered in black polka dots. His most conservative piece of apparel was his simple black cleats, which had pink stripes and laces as Monica lifted his foot, sliding on the first cleat. He watched as she tied his shoe until he saw Bonnie approaching with a plastic pink and black polka dot headband as she exchanged it for the barrette. "Game time, baby girl. Come on, get up," said Chloe, grinning as she reached out her hand. "Hope my little pumpkin's not nervous for the big game." Charlie loved staring at Chloe and again was not disappointed as her boobs were barely contained in her painted-on black tank top. Across her chest it read "Soccer Mom" in bedazzled pink jeweled script letters from nipple to nipple as again she was busting out of this braless top with her headlights on display under the thin material. Below the waist wasn't much better, as the edges of her curvy-ass cheeks poked out of her blue denim Daisy Dukes, and on her feet were platform strappy espadrilles adding a good 6 inches to her long legs. "Whoa, Mommy," gasped Charlie, standing up and enjoying pressing himself against her getting a hug. "Oh, what a little sweet thing I have here," said Chloe knowing exactly what he was doing as she nudged him back turning him towards the mirror. "Glad you like Mommy's outfit, but of course I can't look as gorgeous as my precious little curly Q girl." She knew exactly how to deflate him, patting his head like a puppy and giving him a devilish grin as they touched up her makeup. "Here, Mrs. Kimball. It's the biggest one I could find," said Monica, surprising them as she opened an umbrella stroller. "It's about a 4-block walk, so I figured it would help and she's such a petite thing I think she'll fit in there just fine." "So thoughtful." "Thank you," said Chloe. "Get in, princess." It couldn't get too much more embarrassing as Charlie climbed in, sitting back as Chloe began pushing. It was better than walking at least, and he could hide under the hood a bit as she rolled him to the field. As they entered, he realized this was no staged shoot as he saw a series of young girls dressed in identical uniforms kicking the ball, warming up before the game. "Chloe, this isn't funny," said Charlie, jumping out of the stroller. "I think this is a real game." "Easy, pumpkin," replied Chloe. "I know you're probably excited, but I can't have you hurt before the game." "Chloe, please. I've done everything." "Look at me," Charlie pleaded. "I see my friend's mother from school over there and that's his little sister. She's like 6. And you are 2 as far as everyone's concerned, my little missy," said Chloe, grabbing his bicep firmly. Now of course that mom doesn't know me, and you've got nothing to worry about if you just behave. Now quiet, here comes your coach. Hi, I'm Chloe Kimball, Chelsea's mom. Chloe extended her hand to the big burly guy. Nice to meet you. I'm Coach Armando, said the man, with a thick European accent. Nice to see you, Chelsea. Sorry, she's a bit shy, said Chloe as Charlie was turning red. Go warm up with your coach, honey, and here's your ball, sweetie. Charlie was dying as Armando took him by the hand as he kicked the pink soccer ball, which was decorated with butterflies. He was infuriated as he took a few warm-up kicks and then ran with the girls, as Chloe looked on. Chloe was introducing herself to the other parents, enjoying the wandering eyes of the husbands and the disgust of some of the moms as she met them. Why don't you take my chair, said one dad, getting up. I guess it's your first game, so you didn't know to bring one. Her husband's probably bringing it, said his wife, rolling her eyes. That's so sweet, honey, but I love standing and cheering for little one, said Chloe, softly touching his hand. Probably needs to stand, since I bet she's on her back most of the time, whispered a mom to some others as they shared a giggle. Unfortunately, I'm not lucky enough to have one of those big strong men at home like you are, said Chloe, glancing at them as she purposely dropped her sunglasses. Oops. She bent over right in front of them, spreading her tight cheeks as they practically knocked each other over, picking them up before she could even get them. Oh shit, sighed Chloe to herself, ruining out there as Charlie kicked a ball way too hard, hitting a teammate in the face. Little Chelsea, easy sweetie. It's practice, said the coach, nodding. You're a strong little girl and fast. I'm impressed, but save it for the game. I'm so sorry, said Chloe, grabbing his wrist. Behave, Chelsea. She's your teammate. It's okay, Mrs. Kimball, said Coach Armando. I need a girl like her, but just take it out on the other team, please, honey. Just give us a minute, Coach, said Chloe, dragging him off and back to the stroller. Sit. I didn't mean to, said Charlie, trying to explain. She just dashed Chelsea. Chloe interrupted. Here, have a drink and let's have a little break, honey. No, I can't, whined Charlie. I've been holding it for over an hour. I told you that earlier. Please, I actually forgot I even had to go, with all this going on today. Drink up, princess, said Chloe, holding it to his mouth. Stop. Please, cried Charlie as she opened another now, pressing it to his lips. He was squirming around in the stroller as she took her other hand, touching his neck. Her cold fingers were driving him crazy as he had no control any longer, feeling the warm sensation saturate his pull-up as Chloe wouldn't let him break from his drink. I believe we have an understanding now, don't we, Missy, said Chloe. Now get up and go play. I can't play like this, said Charlie as she pulled him from the stroller. I feel disgusting. Please, can we go somewhere and change me? It was an accident. I can't stay like this. Sure you can, precious girl. These pull-ups are wonderful, so let's be careful out there, said Chloe, touching his cheek. It'll just keep you focused on not making either of us look stupid now, won't it? Now run along like a good girl. Charlie felt extremely self-conscious now, hearing the little swishing sound as he walked. He was grossed out, feeling the weight between his legs as he walked, and the disgusting wetness around his bottom as he even tried to run or play. He looked over, almost crying as he stood in the game, barely moving as girls a few years younger pushed him around as he bided his time until the second half. Look, she's still in pull-ups, whispered a mother to another. I doubt she has much time for training, said another mom, staring at the men. And I guess I'll be coming to every game from now on, because I'm pretty sure all the husbands will. Come on, honey, score me a touchdown, yelled Chloe, jumping up and down as he looked at her ready to cry. Come on, sweetie. You can do it, princess. Kick it. Kick it. Chloe no longer looked sexy to him right now, as he was mortified being cheered on as she jumped and screamed, purposely doing her best to embarrass him and capture the loathing of the other moms. To shut her up, he tried running only to trip as he tried keeping his legs tightly together to prevent any leakage from the huge wet load in his pants. Chelsea, screamed Chloe, overacting as she ran on the field during the game when he slipped, taking an embarrassing fall. Instantly she scooped him up, smothering him with kisses as she cradled him in her arms as the coach ran over. Is she okay? Said Coach Armando. No one touched her, Mrs. Kimball. I think all she did was trip. I don't care, Coach. These girls are animals, said Chloe, being overly dramatic. I'm sorry, but my little princess is just too delicate for this ruffian sport. Are you sure? Said Coach Armando, upset as he stared at her hot body and gently touched Chloe's back. I'll work with her. She's the tallest girl here. I think we'll be fine. We don't want to lose you already. I mean her too. I'm sorry, Coach, said Chloe, pulling her top up a touch. I tried, but she's more the ballerina type, and I hate how all this outdoor activity is frizzing her little curls. I think we'll go with my original idea and I'll put her in dance. Come on, pumpkin. The mothers were practically applauding as the fathers and Coach looked ready to kill themselves as she wiggled off, placing Charlie in the stroller. As she pushed him from the park, the crew revealed themselves, applauding as she smiled, thrilled with their reaction. Chloe, that was spectacular. You as a white trash soccer mom are just amazing, said Kirk, thrilled. Okay, everyone, it's getting late, so that's a wrap for today. Let's just take one small crew to the house and we'll film dinner and bedtime. It was almost worth sitting in the gross pull-up to get out of there, as quickly he was in a car with Chloe heading to her house. As they got in, she ran upstairs running the tub, and he was never so happy to be out of his uniform as he undressed himself in the bathroom and got into the tub. Not that looks nice and relaxing, said Chloe, checking on him and taking a shower cap from the vanity. Just keep the soap out of those pretty curls, and don't wet your hair, please. She tucked his curls inside a shower cap and left him to relax in the bubbles. He was in there almost an hour before she came back, dressed now in a long low-cut black silk nightgown. Okay, let's just have a little dinner and then bedtime, sweetie, said Chloe, holding open a towel. Please, I can dry myself, cried Charlie, being too lazy to get out. And after all this, I'm not really hungry. Okay, but you'll need to eat just a little and then you can sleep, said Chloe. Your pajamas are on the hamper. Hurry down, please, I made your favorite. As she left, he got out, drying off, and rolled his eyes, taking his PJs from on top of the hamper. It was humiliating stepping into the little pink cotton panties and pulling the long Dora nightgown over his head. He strolled down, seeing some mac and cheese on a plate as he sat quietly devouring it as she ate across from him. When he finished, she gave him a few cookies, as barely a word was said. So you feel better in the big girl panties, Chelsea, said Chloe, getting up and getting him some milk. Mommy's just going to wrap your hair in a little turban to preserve the curls for tomorrow, and then I'll tuck you in. Tomorrow? Whined Charlie, as she softly slid her nails through his curls lovingly. You must be kidding? Please, no more, Chloe. When's my real mom coming home? We're not sure yet, but you'll be back to normal and in school on Monday, said Chloe, making a frown. I know this has been a bit rough on you, but you've been such a cutie. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, for you, answered Charlie, finishing his milk as he headed upstairs. He slammed the door in the cameraman's face, heading to bed, and he was out in no time. Wake up! This is so exciting! Chloe shook him and pulled off the turban. Come downstairs. I can hardly wait. Charlie was half asleep as Chloe dragged him downstairs. The house was filled with crew as he came to the kitchen table. He sat down, dipping his spoon into some cereal as Kirk was on the phone as Chloe was just drooling as she was waiting for him to get off. Okay, confirmed, Kirk nodded. We got the official invite and permission to film. We're in. Chloe was jumping with excitement as Charlie rolled his eyes, knowing this could never be good. Honey, it was fate me giving you the big girl panties, said Chloe. This is going to be amazing. Oh, great. What's it today, cheerleading? Sighed Charlie sarcastically. Who thought I'd be looking forward to going back to school? True, we've got one more day until back to school, so today we'll be filming as much as we can get, but I do like the cheer idea, said Kirk. You see, they're doing a special edition of toddlers and tiaras for girls 6 through 9, so this time you'll actually fit into the age group. Get some clothes on her, ladies. We've got to get over there ASAP. We've got work to do. Wait, what does that mean? Said Charlie, as he stopped eating as Monica pulled his nightgown over his head as another girl knelt, putting some socks and shoes on him. It means you're really going to be our little princess today, honey, said Monica, quickly pulling his head through the top of an outfit. Stand up, please. You're about to be in your first pageant, Chelsea, said Kirk, as Monica slid on a headband. Now let's roll, everyone. Chloe downed her coffee and took his hand as he really didn't comprehend this whole thing, as she dragged him from the house. He was almost accustomed to being dragged around as a little girl, barely fretting at the sight of his legs on display as he sat in back seat of the car next to Chloe. She always looked fantastic and smelled even better as he was wedged next to her in the small back seat between her and Kirk. She held up her little compact, lining her lips and touching up her mascara as it was hard not to be distracted by her. She looked as hot as ever, but certainly less slutty, dressed in a one-piece, form-fitting red mini dress, which didn't show all her boobs but had a long oval keyhole highlighting her cleavage. As she tilted the mirror, he could see his entire outfit as he sat there in a cute little red velvet dress, which had a layer of black crinoline puffing it out, and a tapered bodice with a cute bow centering the neckline. At the waistline were a series of rosettes which matched the ones offset to the left on his headband, and on his feet were little black patent flats beneath dainty red ruffled ankle socks. As they turned the corner waiting on the valet line, Chloe took her pick, lifting and teasing his curls a touch until the door opened. As they got out, she handed him a small red purse and dropped a black Angora sweater over his shoulders, buttoning it only around his neck. She held his hand as they walked inside, seeing many mothers with their young daughters waiting in a long line as they breezed right past it and through security into a small room. Welcome, ladies, said an elderly woman, who kissed Kirk. Hello, Martha, replied Kirk as they hugged. Thanks for inviting us. Oh, it's my pleasure, dear, said Martha. You know it's all about ratings, darling, and if we get any footage like you did yesterday, I think you'll help bring us some. That's the plan, of course, said Kirk, raising an eyebrow. Good, then we'll expect Mrs. Kimball to be on her best behavior, of course. I mean diva best, of course, dear, if you understand me, Martha smiled as she read her clipboard. Think ratings, dear. Loud and clear, Martha, Chloe grinned. I've seen the show, and I'm excited to be here. I'll sharpen my claws, Martha. Good, dear. Now my hair and makeup people will be in here in exactly 4 minutes, said Martha, looking at her watch and talking into a two-way radio. We'll need auburn wefts, strands, and clip-ins. Send them with the hair crew, please. Are those for me? Said Chloe, surprised. We'll do something appropriate for you, dear, but no, said Martha, turning towards Monica now. Show me the dress, please, and you can place it over the little mannequin stand so I can inspect it properly. Of course, Martha, said Monica, unzipping a wide garment bag. Charlie was starting to realize what they were talking about, almost shitting his pants seeing layer after layer of purple as Monica set the dress over the plastic mannequin stand. "This should look wonderful on her," said Martha, approvingly as her hair and makeup people entered. "Let's get busy, everyone." Charlie was stunned as they immediately wrapped his neck in a cape. While one girl was dampening his hair and somewhat ripping through his curls, another was patting a cream to his face. He knew he was about to get his introductions into life as big girl, as he was being forced to stare straight ahead at his gown. It was crazy getting pampered like this, seeing the large makeup table filled with tubes and containers representing seemingly the entire rainbow, and he looked down seeing a third girl lift off his shoe as she began working on his toes. "Ouch, damn," mumbled Charlie to himself as she finally took a break, ripping through his hair as he now saw lifted towards him a weft of auburn hair brushing through it right within eyesight. He cringed each time she combed and sectioned, but she worked quickly now as he began feeling some weight as they worked snapping in some clips at the back of his head. The makeup artist closed his eyes with her fingers, now painting at his lids as he opened and closed as they asked. He felt ready to puke seeing a fake lash held up as she added some glue to its seam and had no choice while she pushed his lid down, adhering it to his own. He was being pulled in both directions now as she squeezed in the lash curler as he stared up at it, leaning forward while he could feel tugging the other way at the back of his head as the extensions were being brushed and inserted. It was annoying as she held his head ever so still, lining inside his lashes at the waterline while he could feel pin after pin now scratching at the crown of his head. He felt like a piñata, being hit in every direction as they blushed at his cheeks while he looked over, seeing the first hot roller steaming from a canister before he felt it wind into the back of his head. His makeup artist was powdering under his eyes now as he looked down, watching a girl rubbing off his nail polish and gluing on a small clear tip. He closed his eyes, trying not to imagine any of this anymore, but was unable to remove the thoughts from his brain, hearing the sound of hairspray behind his head or the pungent smell of nail polish irritating his nasal passage. He tried thinking about wrestling and paintball, but it was almost impossible as the taste of grape slid across his lips and the heavy rollers warmed the back of his neck. "Mommy," chirped Charlie. "I have to go to the bathroom, please." "Honey, it's just butterflies," said Chloe, from the other side of the room behind him. "No, I need to go now," yelled Charlie. Okay, relax," said Chloe, coming over in her bathrobe. "I've got it, ladies. Just grab my bag over there please, Monica, and keep your fingers straight out, Chelsea." "Should I come with you, Mrs. Kimball?" said Monica. "Please," said Chloe, frustrated. "You've got to be careful with wet nails, Chelsea." She pulled the cape from Charlie's neck and helped him to the restroom. She took him in the handicap stall, sliding off his dress every so carefully and handing it over the wall to Monica. He peed like a racehorse, causing some giggles until he took a breath, feeling better. "Monica, hand me my bag please," said Chloe, reaching her hand over the stall. "Sorry, Chels, I really thought we could treat you like a big girl, but we can't take a chance." "Please, I'm fine now," cried Charlie. "Isn't all this bad enough?" "Sorry, we can't have any mistakes in that dress," said Chloe, folding down the changing table and throwing him on it. He was sobbing a bit as she spread some ointment against his bottom and wasted no time yanking the pull-up into place. "Better off, anyway," said Chloe, placing him back on the floor in only his pull-up and flip-flops. "We'll need to dress you soon anyway, and these pull-ups don't show your little bump." He was beet red, being dragged in only his flip-flops and pull-up back to the makeup chair. The artists just smiled and rewrapped the long cape over him, wasting no time getting back to work. They were focusing on top of his head now, as his makeup artist had a handful of small bobby pins in one hand and a series of short extensions in the other, helping his hairdresser as she approached with a thick-barreled curling iron now. He could feel each little snap and then feel her stretch the extension from his scalp straight up before she twisted in her curling iron, then dig in a pin or two. This seemed to last for 15 minutes as they circled him a few times, curling and pinning over and over before finally they covered his eyes, saturating him in hairspray. His hairdresser took her time now, removing the hot rollers in the back and adjusting a few of the sections with her iron. It was odd watching her curl a few long fairly thin strands right in front of his eyes, but then he watched out of the corner of his eye as she snapped them in at each temple. "Oh, Chelsea," screeched Camille as she came in. "She looks amazing, Chloe." "Camille," yelled Chloe, running over and hugging her. "I'm so happy you could make it." "Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world." "I've been texting and calling all morning," Camille smiled. "I need to just chat with you for a minute outside, please." "It's important." "Sorry, they have my phone as they don't want us disturbed during any filming." "You guys okay for a few minutes with her?" asked Chloe, looking at everyone. "It's fine, Mrs. Kimball," said Monica, looking over at everyone and nodding. "Go ahead and we'll finish up." Chloe walked outside the room with Camille and her eyes almost popped out of her head, seeing Charlie's mother standing there with her arms folded. "Oh, Mrs. Graham." Chloe was stunned. "You're back, and so soon." "Yes, I called you a few times this morning, but couldn't get you on the phone, so I sent a few texts. I thought it was very odd, especially with how good you are at texting, when you didn't return them," said Mrs. Graham, matter-of-factly. "When I couldn't get you, I got nervous and went to your house, finding Camille there." "Oh, well. I was doing a shoot and they don't let us have it during that," Chloe babbled. "But everything's fine with Charlie. I'll give you a call when we're done, okay?" "Is it?" Mrs. Graham grinned. "You mean he's just fine in there?" "I guess he's just sitting there playing on his iPad." "Well, not exactly," said Chloe, shaking. "Relax, Chloe," said Mrs. Graham, breaking her serious tone and then taking Charlie's iPad from her bag. "I saw the video and quite a few of Charlie's pictures. And Camille has told me everything. We've been talking all morning." "Everything?" asked Chloe, shooting Camille a look. "Yes, everything," said Mrs. Graham, patting the bench next to her. "Sit, honey." "Mrs. Graham. I'm sorry. I just reacted in anger, and it spiraled," said Chloe. "It's an opportunity of a lifetime for me, and he was never in any danger. It's just a little acting and some outfits." "Chloe, I know you better than that," said Mrs. Graham, rolling her eyes. "Camille, can you give us a minute in private, please?" "Sure," said Camille, "I'll go check on Charlie." "Chloe, understand what you're pretending to be was actually what I am," said Mrs. Graham. "I was a teen mom and raised him alone. It's not easy, and over the years I've come to terms with my life and realized who I really am. Who I am on the outside is not who I am on the inside." "Ladies, sorry," said Camille, coming back out. "Chloe, they need you. He's just about ready and they'll be starting." "Go ahead, dear," said Mrs. Graham. "I'll be hiding in the back watching. This should be interesting." "You're not mad?" said Chloe, relieved. "You're letting him go on with it?" "I like your hair like that, Chloe," said Mrs. Graham, hugging her and then looking her in the eye. "Meet me in back later, and we'll finish our conversation. Go ahead and do your job." "Thank you," said Chloe, as she felt a huge weight fall off her shoulders, walking back inside confidently. "Thank you so much." Chloe walked back, composing herself as she could see Charlie leering over at her through a plastic mask they held in front of his face as they were saturating his head with glittered hairspray. She covered her mouth, almost weeping happily as they removed the mask, seeing them take the cape from Charlie's neck, standing him up as her jaw almost hit the floor. Monica rolled the ultra-sheer nude hose over Charlie's legs, pulling them up tightly as he looked over at Chloe. He looked ready to cry as he saw Monica slide a strappy little shoe over his left foot and buckle the strap around his ankle as he held her shoulder, balancing for the first time in a little heel. Chloe smiled at him, nodding to break the tension as he found himself balancing on the almost chunky 2-inch heel. Monica bent over now, stretching open the dress as they lifted his first leg into his gown as he was almost in a trance-like state, not believing he was about to do this. When his second foot hit the ground inside the dress, he felt almost paralyzed, feeling its satin lining rising up his body as they moved his left arm inside the single shoulder strap. He looked over, seeing nothing but the women, all giddy, seeing a small sparkling tiara being brought his way as he felt on pins and needles, feeling the zipper and a few clasps close him in. "How beautiful is that on you, Chelsea?" stated Chloe, beaming as he could feel a few pins securing it to his head. "Great job, ladies," said Kirk, coming in and looking at his watch. "Let's go, princess. It's show time. All you have to do is look beautiful and follow the other girls," said Chloe as they were brushing some last-second blush on his cheeks and quickly accessorizing him in jewelry. "I promise if you just smile for me the whole time and just do your best acting happy and pretty, this will be it for today. I'll take you home and we can just focus on getting ready for school tomorrow." "You're serious?" said Charlie. "You promise, right?" "Yup," said Chloe, hugging him and holding out her hand. "Okay, deal," said Charlie, knowing he had no choice anyway, stuck in this huge dress. He walked ever so slowly with her, hand in hand, then looking up and realizing he was about to be on line with 24 other little girls. For the first time he was happy to be in a pull-up himself, feeling ready to explode from his nerves looking down at the size of his dress. He could see Chloe now engaging with the other mothers and some of the bantering began. She was arguing and acting up for 10 minutes, looking ready to fight or wrestle until finally she returned smiling. "You need to keep your chin up, Chelsea," said Chloe, bending down looking him in the eye. "It's pinned but I don't want your tiara falling off, and just walk heel to toe and you'll be fine. For what's it worth, you look gorgeous and don't listen to any of the nasty bitches that will try to intimidate you. Okay?" Charlie was confused. "What a dreamy creation, Chloe," said Martha, giving her nod of approval as she added some notes on her clipboard, looking at him. "You make a lovely addition to our pageant, dear." "Thank you," mumbled Charlie as Chloe nudged him. "Mothers, let's go please," said Martha, clapping. "You'll need to go take your seats so we can begin." Charlie found himself behind a series of little girls in front and back of him now, as he could notice them all eyeing each other up. He wasn't attracted to them as he was to Chloe, with their overdone makeup and gigantic dresses, as most of their curves were generated by ruffles and layers, not push-up bras or painted-on miniskirts. As he moved up awaiting his turn to hit the stage, he could barely believe what he looked like, seeing his reflection in the huge backstage mirrors, searching for Charlie but seeing nothing but a princess. On top the dress had a form-fitting bodice with a classic boat neck, decorated in scattered silver glitter, and below the waist was a huge floor-length, 3-tiered bell skirt in varying shades of lilac, lavender, and violet layers. It was sleeveless and had a single strap over his left shoulder, and around his waist a thick sash in the darkest purple, with an almost blinding sparkling round rhinestone offset faux buckle, before ending a titanic double bow behind his spine. He wasn't sure why he even had on little strappy purple heels, as you couldn't see them, or his violet toenails under the huge skirt, but realized it's what permitted the dress to flow and not completely drag across the floor. His hair was beyond what he even imagined they were doing to him, as his little bangs were gone as they were now slicked back and blended into the colossal half-up, half-down pageant hairdo. It was extremely elaborate, soaring upward a good 5 inches on top, with 3 layers of rolled and twisted stacked curls pinned to each other, creating a wedding-like style. Fronting this updo was a tantalizing rhinestone princess tiara, and every few inches a single tiny violet rosette sat delicately pinned between select stacked curls, resembling a decorative look atop a multi-tiered cake. At the updo at the back of his head, 6 layers of long spiral curls now cascaded halfway down his back, creating a mass of gorgeous ringlets, and at each temple streamed just a few thin soft loose tendrils delicately scraping each cheek. Behind those tendrils hung oversized rhinestone dangling teardrop clip-on earrings, and a matching thick bracelet graced his right wrist. 2 large rings graced fingers on each hand behind his lovely French manicure, and around his neck was a rhinestone V-shaped necklace, finishing off his over-accessorized, over-the-top look. He stared at his face behind all the hair and glitter, unable to fathom it was him blinking the huge false lashes a few times. On his lids charcoals, violets, and creamy lavenders were blended, forming an exquisite meld behind his long glittered lashes and thick eyeliner. His cheeks looked soft and doll-like, and his lips sparkled behind an ultra-bright purple gloss, as his gaze was snapped by Martha giving him a little nudge. "It's your turn, dear," said Martha, positioning him and moving his arms. "Hold one wrist out like the dainty little thing that you are, and the other on your hip when you walk. Stop at the end of the runway and blow kisses in every direction, and then head back to the center of the stage next to the other girls. Now go break a leg, dear." He couldn't believe he was doing this as she gave him a little shove out from behind the curtain. He could hear the screams for him but not see too much under the bright lights, as he had no choice marching down the catwalk as they announced him. "Let's hear it for the absolutely exquisite Chelsea Kimball, everyone," yelled the announcer. "This bold, beautiful pageant gown is all about glamour. This fabulous purple ombre dress by Sugar is perfect for your fashion-forward little girl like our unequivocally gorgeous Chelsea. The bodice is covered in glitter and sequins, and features a waist-accentuating satin sash. The full skirt is composed of layers of flirty, organza ruffles cascading down to the floor in purple ombre satin tiers, and the one shoulder accent with sequins dripping down to the waist complements the sash pulled tight by a side rhinestone brooch fronting the elaborate rear bow. A separate, full-length hidden petticoat accompanies the dress to guarantee that our princess gets the perfect, ball gown silhouette. Everyone, let's hear it again for contestant number 11, Chelsea Kimball." Charlie found himself near the end of the catwalk now as people stood applauding. He did his best, blowing some kisses and put his hand back on his hip, wiggling to the line with the other girls. He had no idea they'd be judging them on their dress, posture, hair, and makeup. They ushered him on and off stage as they changed him into a lavender cocktail dress, then an extremely uncomfortable violet mermaid dress, and then finally back to his pageant gown as he strutted down the runway each time, as commanded. It seemed to go quickly until they took their time recapping and reviewing each girl, as he was relieved when he didn't win, but was equally as embarrassed as they dropped the 5th runner-up sash over his head. He walked backstage, thankful it was over, seeing Chloe beaming as she hugged and squeezed him, thrilled as she saw him. "You were amazing," said Chloe. "You were as pretty as anyone out there, and I loved you in all the purples. They're always partial to blondes and red dresses. I think if you were blonde, you could have one." "Ah, that okay," said Charlie. "I'll pass on that. Can you get me out of all this, and out of here now please?" "Well, maybe in a second," said Mrs. Graham, as Charlie spun around, startled at the sound of her voice. "Let me soak all this in up close, first." "Mom," screamed Charlie. "You're back, and you were here? Watching?" "Yes, and it was quite enjoyable, my precious little one," replied his mother. "Quite a pleasant surprise." "Do I stop rolling, boss?" said the cameraman to Kirk. "Absolutely not," said Kirk. "Keep going. We'll edit it later if I have to." "Mom, it's not what you think," sighed Charlie. "Honey, I know everything. I saw your iPad this morning, and while you were getting ready and then prancing around on stage, Chloe and I squared away everything," said Mrs. Graham, putting her arm around Chloe. All is good, honey, and we're about to put everything in the past. Oh, thank goodness, said Charlie, relieved. Then can you please help me get all this off and get changed? Of course, honey. Chloe and I have a few calls to make, so Monica said she wouldn't mind changing you back into what you came in, said Mrs. Graham. No, Mom, cried Charlie. They brought me here in a little girl's red dress. Don't you think I realize that? Said his mother, giving him a look. I heard it was very cute, so I'm looking forward to seeing it on you, honey. No, Chloe said I'd be done after this, said Charlie. She promised. She did, honey, but I'm your real mother, and obviously we've got no other clothes for you here, so do not give me a hard time, said Mrs. Graham, wiggling her fingers between Chloe's. You see, that little video you shot of Chloe and Camille opened my eyes to something I suspected about her for years. She's bisexual, and I know you didn't know this, honey, but so am I. I love you and I wouldn't trade you for the world, but obviously you didn't know you were the result of a drunken fling when I was about Chloe's age. Back then, I was trying to convince myself I was something other than what I really was. Obviously, you know I've raised you on my own and you're old enough for me to tell you the truth now. In fact, that video allowed Chloe and I to really talk, and well, let's just say all of our lives are about to change. Mom, this is crazy. Charlie was flabbergasted. What are you saying? You're saying you and Chloe are lesbians and I was an accident. Yes, sweetie, but a wonderful little oops, said Chloe, smiling as she looked at Mrs. Graham. Let's just say you'll be having a built-in babysitter moving forward. No, Chloe, you're obviously much more than that to me and to our family, said Mrs. Graham, softly kissing Chloe. Honey, I've invited Chloe to move in with us, so we'll be starting anew. I can't go back to school and tell all my friends this, screamed Charlie. I'll be an outcast, Mom. I see, said his mother, getting angry as she stared at him. That's very hurtful, but I understand. Thanks, said Charlie, feeling some relief. I just can't be embarrassed like that in front of my friends. Think about how embarrassed I'd be if someone knew what was under all this hair and makeup. Chloe said you'd feel that way. I was really hoping she was wrong, but obviously not, said his mother, looking right through him. Then I guess you won't be in school tomorrow, because we'll need to make some arrangements. Sounds good to me, said Charlie. I'll miss school any time you want. Is it because you can't get all this shit off me that fast? Oh, you'll be going to school and missing nothing, said his mother, looking at Kirk and walking over, shaking his hand. You can make that call, Kirk, and we have a deal. Fantastic, this is going to make all of us a lot of money, yelled Kirk, celebrating as he walked away talking on his cell phone. Monica, I'll need you to fetch that little red dress if it's dressy enough for dinner, said Mrs. Graham. I've decided we'll be going out to a formal diner to celebrate. It'll work with the hair and all the shit she has on, right? I believe so, Mrs. Graham, if we take away all the bling and the purple accents, said Monica. I'll go get it and we'll make whatever adjustments you desire. It's just hanging over there. Wait, what are you talking about, Mom? Sighed Charlie, confused. Celebrate what? We've got tons to celebrate, dear, said his mother. Should I take her back and dress her? Said Monica, standing there holding the red dress. No, do it right here, dear, while we all talk, replied Mrs. Graham as Charlie was stunned, feeling her unzip him. Think of it as Chloe's and my coming out party, said his mother, nodding as she stared at him. Plus, it'll give us a chance to talk about our new show I just agreed to, and my expectations for you. New show? Asked Charlie as she stepped him out of his big pageant gown. Yes, you made the decision for us actually. You don't want to be embarrassed in front of people you know, and I love you so I won't do that to you, But that doesn't mean I'm going to deny who I am anymore either, said his mother as she helped take off his jewelry. What I won't do anymore is hide who I am, and neither will Chloe. Tomorrow we'll be doing some back-to-school shopping so we can get you everything you need for your new school. One across town where no one knows you, and it's one where families like us are accepted as normal. Okay, you're all set, ladies, said Kirk, walking back in. I got the limited filming rights I need for the school and wired the deposit for Chelsea to attend. Wait, did you say for Chelsea? Cried Charlie as Monica slid up the little red dress and was pulling the rosettes from his hair. Yup, our new episode starts filming during dinner tonight, said Kirk, squeezing his cheeks. Don't worry, cutie, you are the star of my two mommies. Congratulations, everyone. There's no turning back now, Chloe, said Mrs. Graham, taking her hand and looking her in the eyes. I hope you're ready for this. I'm up for the challenge of raising her together, Carrie, and I know I'm only 19, but I've been waiting my whole life for a relationship like this, said Chloe, touching Mrs. Graham's face ever so softly as she looked in her eyes. Okay then, because it'll be a lot of work raising a little diva like her, said Mrs. Graham, smiling at Charlie as she put her hands around Chloe's neck, lovingly rubbing the nape. Good thing you got this sexy cut, because you'll be spending all your time brushing out all that hair she's got now. Between filming and teaching her how to be a little lady, you're not going to get that much time for yourself. Yes, I know, and I'm good with that, said Chloe, sticking her tongue in Carrie's mouth, giving a deep French kiss. Well then, let's get to dinner, said his mother as the kiss broke as she reached out her hand. Time for all of us to begin our new lives. Mom, no, this isn't right, screamed Charlie. I can't. I won't go out like this, and I'm definitely not staying like this. Oh, you're so right, dear, said his mother, grabbing him by the collar forcefully before opening her purse and sliding open a tube of red lipstick as she touched it to his lips. That's much better now. Mommy's sorry for even thinking of taking out her little girl without making sure her lips didn't clash with her dress. That purple would have been a disaster with this pretty outfit.